Hello. Hello. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Alex, and I attend the Holocaust Academy in Shanghai. And this is my research. As the world became more modernized and we began to use online communication a lot more, we also have begun to use emoji a lot more. The thing is, because they are essentially a little pictogram, emoji can act as a facial expression or any non-textual like language sort of thing, because we don't have face-to-face communication when we do things like text online, and emoji can help convey what we might do with our body in a textual sort of way. There's many effects emoji can have. Emoji, as I mentioned, has that sort of effect of helping to show non-textual body language things, but they can also have other effects. One of these effects is the very opposite. Emoji can cause misunderstanding when you misunderstand an emoji usage, or like an emoji has different meanings in a different context and you don't know which context it is. Another effect that emoji have is that they can promote engagement between customers of the company and a company's marketing activities. And this is found by one of the prior works to my research. However, that prior work is a bit limited in how in its generalizability, because what they did was have an experiment with a fictional company. And I wanted to sort of generalize and broaden that. So my research questions are, can the usage of emoji in tweets be related with the higher tweet popularity? And does the usage of specific emoji have a relationship with tweet popularity? To do this research, I built my own data set on Twitter. It's composed of the most recent 2,000 tweets made from the top 50 most followed Twitter accounts. And I included brand accounts such as BBC News from this, so that we have celebrities, individual celebrities. Some of the information we took was the tweet ID, the content of the tweet, the username of the person who made the tweet, number of likes, retweets, quotes, and more. We also derived some information from this, such as the sentiment of the tweet, so like how positive and how negative it is, and how subjective the tweet might be. So like how much of the tweet really seems to be factual, and how much seems to depend on the person's opinion. Using this data set, we conducted ordinary least squares linear regression to answer our question. The dependent variable for both of our research questions is the same. It's the number of likes, and we use that to measure popularity. Our independent variables are different for our research question. For research question 1, we looked at the number of emojis used in a tweet. And for research question 2, we looked at whether the emoji in question is in the tweet, and I can elaborate more on that later. We also had a lot of control variables, such as tweet sentiment, the type of the tweet. So when we script the tweet, we both had tweets with this posted directly from the account. We also included things like retweets under another person's tweet. So that's what the type of tweet is. Whether there's an image in the tweet, the celebrity who posted the tweet, the word count in the tweet, things like that. Another little note is that some of our variables are categorical. For example, the celebrity who posted a tweet, those sort of variables were separated into categories that would each get their own coefficient when we conducted linear regression. And all variables were checked for linearity. We checked to see if there were any significant correlation between our variables to make sure that would interfere with our regression, and all of these variables that we use don't have any significant correlation between them. So for research question 1, we obtained a coefficient, as you can see here, with a standard error of about 300 and a p-value of less than 0.001. This is a really small p-value, and it indicates that there is a pretty strong positive relationship between the popularity of the tweet, which, as I mentioned previously, is the number of likes, and the number of emojis used in the tweet. We also conducted a little simple case study to support this. We took the top 50 tweets from that each celebrity posted. We found the average amount of emoji used in those tweets, and we also did the same for the bottom 50 tweets that celebrity used. And as you can see, tweets in the top 50 generally had a higher average amount of emoji used in comparison to tweets from the bottom 50. So this case study we did supported our findings from the regression. For our second research question, we found that we took the top 5 most used emojis to conduct the regression. And essentially what we did was we added a variable that was a true or false depending on whether the emoji appeared in the tweet. And here are our 5 emojis here. You can see there's the heart emoji, there's the rolling on the floor, laughing while crying emoji, and there's the normal crying while laughing emoji. There's the fire emoji, and there's the hands together sort of thank you praying emoji. we found that the heart emoji is the most correlated with the high number of likes, and then the fire emoji is the least correlated with the high number of likes. There were also some ambiguous results, such as the second emoji here and the last one. They have a relatively large p-value of over 0.1. And these are a bit more ambiguous. We can't really conclude, and we can't really make any conclusions from these, so we'll focus on the other three. And as I mentioned, that's why I mentioned earlier that the heart emoji has more is correlated with higher likes in comparison to the fire emoji. I also want to point out that despite these numbers, even though these numbers are negative, that does not necessarily mean that the emoji has a negative impact on the number of likes for that tweet. We have to look at these coefficients in relationship to each other and relatively to each other. And so looking at this research, there are some practical implications for celebrities. It's possible that celebrities can use more emoji in the tweet to get more likes for the tweet, and potentially give them a larger audience, maybe have their tweets recommended more to other people. Celebrities can also use emojis to get more likes so that they can better promote an event or product. And this is related to the related work I mentioned earlier about how companies can use emojis to get better engagement with their brand. And celebrities could use the same for some events they're doing. However, even though I try to broaden the scope a little bit, but the study still falls a little bit short in that, since I specifically focus on celebrities. I think that future work could potentially use more data from a larger variety of sources, such as just including like a better sample of the general Twitter population that I was unable to do due to technical constraints. Future work could, with this higher variety of sources, future work could also have more control variables and just perform a better regression in general. And that is my research. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, Alex. Let's see if we have any questions from the group. I believe for your Gen Z, everyone is using emojis, right? And this research is very interesting. And so before we move on, I do have some questions. First of all, why are you interested in this research?
Well, I became interested in emoji because I'm sort of interested in the linguistics aspect of emoji, like as I mentioned, the effects they had and how they can be used. So like I mentioned earlier, like emoji are used to often represent some sort of expression that you couldn't normally do that with text. Like if you wanted to have a sarcastic tone, you might use a certain emoji to represent you having a sarcastic tone in place of you actually having a sarcastic tone when you speak to someone face to face. And I sort of became interested in the effects of emoji from that. And from there, I sort of found this topic to research about.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And another question about some details. So have you collected all the data all by yourself? How many data have you collected?
So I believe we had 37 celebrities because we took out 13 brand accounts, and we had 2,000 tweets for each of those celebrities. And yes, I scraped them from Twitter using a Python package called Rapidamic.
Mm-hmm. And what is the most challenge, like the largest challenge you've got while doing this research?
I would probably say collecting the data was the most challenging. It took a while to find the essence scrape to actually scrape the tweets. I originally tried using the Twitter API, but that didn't fully work out. And then after that, even after I scraped all the tweets, I had to like sort of make sure that everything was saved properly. And since I wasn't as experienced, then I ran into some trouble there. Eventually, I was able to get the whole data set together, though. And that was, yeah.
Sounds good. And also, like for the results you're showing here about all the different types of emojis, do you agree with these results? Do you have any further explanations of how we can make use of these results?
I mean, I definitely agree. I have an idea for why, but this is completely my own idea. I have no evidence to back this up. But it's that maybe emoji are just more attracted to the eye because they have color and they're not like just text. And that could maybe potentially get more like just because of that, or the fact that they express some sort of emotion allow people to feel more connected to the tweet and give more likes. Again, this is just my idea, but this is why I do agree with you the most. I did mention earlier that celebrities could use more emoji in their tweets to get more likes for their tweets. Since I didn't investigate non-celebrities, I'm hesitant to say the same for normal people. But I do think that there's a possibility your average Twitter user can also use emojis to potentially get a few more likes on their tweets as well.
That's interesting. For everyone who wanted to be like popular online, maybe you can take a snapshot of these results and make more use of these types of emojis. And it's proved by research that they're useful for like advocating your tweets or your posts. Thank you, Alex. That's very interesting work.